Hello everyone. In this second tip for CDM, we're going to go a little deeper than we did in the last video, introduce you to a new column you may not know about, and show you actually how quickly you can put an app together. So, yes, the last time we had a video, I pointed out that I had used the account table. So CDM is pre-equipped with a set of tables that work in mini scenarios. And very often we can assume they are only for CRM, but they can be used in mini scenarios. But if we double click on some of the ways we have relationship management in our business, we can think of, for instance, these three that I mentioned in the last video. Sometimes we have to manage our partner relationships, but in addition to our customer relationships, and then we have supplier relationships. And so partner relationships also have company names. They have contacts. They have communications. They may even have documentation. The customers, just like customers do. And then suppliers may even have one step further, is when we work with a multitude of suppliers, not only do we want to manage those relationships for each supplier, but we also want to be able to look across our supplier costs and tell where we're being the most or the least efficient. We can even get a preferred supplier list from looking at those type of trends and analytics. So these are three categories of relationships that we can definitely take advantage of the account table. And so what I had done the last time is I had created this simple column called metadata, and we used this column to just throw in either the word partner, customer, or supplier. I kept it really simple because when we're using a single line of text, it's very easy in everything, whether we're Power BI or Power Automate and anything else, to do filters and OData queries because single line of text is the simplest approach. The other thing is I had planned to populate the metadata column behind the scenes using a Power Apps business rule, as opposed to teaching people what this column means. So probably next week I'll go into how you would do that, but there's a lot that we can unmask in these weekly tips. But today I want to point out a column that I didn't think about that's a really great column to use instead of creating a custom column. Because wouldn't it be great if in our scenario, we didn't have to create any custom columns? We could just use what was there. Then we would save time in building as well as in testing, right? Because we know these scenarios just work out of the box. And I'm going to show you that as we build the app, okay? So instead of metadata, there is another column that I'm going to add here called business type. And I'm just going to zoom out because it's already added so you can see it. You see this column, business type. So this column exists in all of your database entities, right? So you can just look for the account table no matter what. And this is what's wonderful about the common data model. I know that all of you have this column, right? So in the account table, you'll see a business type column. And you can change the description, but by default, the description is select the legal designation or other business type of the account for contracts or reporting purposes. So basically, when we start doing reporting and we start making the Power BI dashboards, we want to be able to tell which of our accounts are customers versus partners versus suppliers. Now, you may come up with additional options for this, but these are the three that I chose. When you first edit this column, you'll notice that there's nothing there. There's just a default label. You can put whatever you'd like. And so I also kept the values very simple. 1, 2, 3, right? They just have to be a number, but I kept them very simple. This way, if I'm doing an OData query, I can refer to this business type column as equal to 1, 2, or 3, depending on whether I'm looking for customer, partner, or supplier accounts. So really great built-in field that you can use. You don't have to add a default, but I know that most of our accounts are customers, so you can default it to customer. But because I'm going to be populating this behind the scenes using PowerFX, there's no reason for you to worry about the default choice because it'll be picked up by the app. Okay, so I'm going to close that. Okay, so now the next thing we have to do is adjust our view. Remember last time we were able to go ahead and create an active customers view just by cloning active accounts. And this is, again, the beauty of using CDM is you can just clone what's there and revise it. So we did an edit on accounts. We saved as to active customers. Let's go into that again, the active customers, because we're going to adjust the filter to include our business type column so that you can see both options. All right. So you can see that I had metadata is customer, but I can easily make this add row. And now I'm going to look for business type here. Now, what we're going to notice right away is that business type is not listed here. Look at that. You see, it's on alphabetical order, so there's no B at all. So those of you that know what's missing, you probably know. Those of you that don't are going to learn from this particular exercise. So I'm going to go, let's go back. And from the account table, right, we're going to click on columns to go find that business type column because we know it's there. We've already filled it in and everything, right? So here's that column. If I hit edit here, you can see that I had filled this out like I showed you before. But what I forgot to do is click searchable, okay? Only searchable columns will show up in the filter list. So if you ever see a column missing there, just go back into that column and make sure searchable is on, okay? And then now when I press save, now that that's a searchable column, when I go into that view now, I'll be able to filter by that. So let's just prove that. We're going to edit customers. And we're going to remove the metadata column from last video and add this column. And you'll see that business type is now there. It's a little bit of a tricky thing. Now, what I love here is even though our values are 1, 2, 3, your filters are very user-friendly and they're going to give you the actual words. So I can say, since this is a customer view, I'm going to filter it to only business type customer. And now this view is restricted to business type customer. I can save and publish. Okay. Now, we talked about this already. You can clone and revise any of the account views and then filter them down to customer, which makes it a lot easier. You don't have to do anything else. You don't have to set up the relationships. You don't have to set up anything, right? It's just automatically going to happen for you. So we've published that. Let's go back and let's just quickly build the app. And so I'm just going to go into create. And for this particular app, we are going to be managing customers, but we're only going to be, for this time being, we're going to be managing just a few things. So we're going to call this customer development app, okay? And we're going to put a fictitious description in here. And we're going to click create. Now, here's where it's going to be interesting. And I had done this before the last video. That's why I figured I'd show you what I did so you can see. Once you get in here, you can add as many pages as you want based on a view and a form. You can also add a dashboard or you can do custom. I will show you both of these at another date. But right now, let's do table view based in form. And notice that you can select multiple. So in this particular case, we're going to need account, right? Which is the company name. We're going to need the contact, which are all of our people that we associate with that company. We're also going to add email, and we're going to add, did I add activities? I meant to add activities, activity file attachment, basically anything that I want to use. And, you know, in some cases, you might want to add more than what's here or less than what's here or all of what's here. Depends on what you want to manage in this relationship. And I think I'm going to be happy with that for now. Phone call sounds like a good thing. And all of this will automatically work. I didn't do anything. I meant to uncheck show in navigation. So there's a little checkbox in there I forgot to uncheck, which is show in navigation. If you rewind, you'll see it, and it decides whether or not they will be shown here in the navigation. But I can always remove them, okay? Now, I can decide for each one, as you learned in the last video, which view will be used, and I'm going to use that customer view that we just customized. Now, why is this really helpful? If I have this as the only view here, now they will only get everything related to those accounts, all right? Automatically, out of the box. No big work needed, all right? So I'm just going to save and publish this. And I'm going to show you, I'm going to run the app so you can see the out-of-the-box value we get from using the CDM. And next week, I'm going to take you like the next step. We're going to secure this data to 3 separate business units. A separate business unit for customers, partners, and suppliers, so that it's actually going to be secure. So right now, when we publish something like this is a convenience scenario, which means that the app is going to show me what's relevant to me, which is convenient, right? If I'm managing customers, then I'm going to open up the customer app, and that's all I'm going to see is the customers. However, it is possible that I could also open up the partner app and see the partners because I haven't been permissioned out of them, right? So we're going to talk about how you can use permissions and business units to use this same entity account, but actually permission it across different business units. That's what we're going to do the next time. I also want to give you a chance to see the app customized a little bit further. We're actually going to customize it to have some custom buttons at the top because we just went GA on that. And so you'll want to know how to add buttons up here, or I should say add clickable links up here, commands, that's probably the right word, commands up here, and how to associate them with different power effects or different flows and so forth. So basically, this is the app that we just built together. You watched me build it. All I did was add relevant tables from the account table. Now, of course, in advance, I configured my views that I want to be seen here so that the person using this app will only see those views, right? But when they open up a customer, because we're using standard CDM, you automatically get these relationships built in out of the box. There was nothing you had to configure, show me the details from gallery items selected. You didn't need to do any of that. It automatically knows these relationships. And when you add a new contact associated with any particular company, it builds that relationship for you, right? Because that's built in on the data level, those relationships. And if you want to look at them up close and put questions in below if you have questions about these relationships, but they're automatically going to work for you. You can add new contacts, you can show charts. These are all things built in automatically. You want to export to Excel, you want to get Excel contacts, all this different stuff is built in. I don't have to do any additional work. So whenever you can use the accounts table, go for it, right? Because it will enable you to get out of the box functionality. One other thing we're going to talk about is related documents. Many of you have wanted to associate a SharePoint document library or image library into your app. Dynamics and SharePoint have always been really good friends. So this CDM model is going to facilitate you doing that. So we'll do that together as well. So I'm hoping that each Friday I'll show you a really good tip on how you can use the CDM to expedite your applications. And P.S., we'll be able to even add Canvas type components into these apps. So you'll have the best of both worlds. So let me give you a few ideas on how you can take this to the next level. So we're talking about customer relationship management this week and the last time we met. And basically we broke it down into like customers, partners, or suppliers. But in all three of those relationships, you might have your own things that you're thinking of. But the account, the contact, the activity notes, those kind of tables work beautifully out of the box for enabling you to track what's necessary to maintain that relationship with your customer, partner, supplier, whoever else you can think of. So it's really good for customer relationship management, but thinking of customers more broadly than we normally do. Now, on that point, I'm going to take you to the next thing. This could also be leveraged for inspection management. What if the account could be used for the location SKU? So let's say you're inspecting a suite of houses for a new real estate development, right? Each house is a location SKU. So every time an inspection needs to be done on that house, then you would relate that to the house SKU or the account. So that house is a particular account. You could also, if you're building for multiple real estate owners or developers, you might have an account for one, such as, I don't know, I can't think of a developer right now off the top of my head. But let's say we have a developer named Timbers, right? That would be their account, and all the houses that they build that are inspected would fall under them as either activities or other types of relationships that are already built in. So you could even have documents associated with each and every developer, and then for each house on that developer that's being inspected, you could have additional documentation, checklists, and so forth that are associated on an activity or a document level. And we'll talk about documents very soon. I'm going to show you how you can have the best of both worlds, combining SharePoint with these model-driven apps in order to manage documentation as well. Contract management. What about those different contracts that you have to manage? And maybe you're not doing a complete vendor management type thing, but you do have to manage contracts. And I think of construction because that contract has an original bid, and then every time a change takes place, that contract value changes. So they have to keep track of that contractor's contractual changes, whether that be from a cost or a time perspective. You also have to track warranties for equipment. And so the company that owns the contract or initiated the contract, or the company that owns the warranty, would be the account. And then again, all the contacts and activities just naturally flow from that relationship. And then finally, you can think of this from a DevOps perspective. We most definitely do at Microsoft, where you're collecting customer feedback. So your customers are the people who are using your products, right? And the DevOps team is watching that feedback, looking for strategic trends so that they can respond in upcoming releases. But also whenever that there may be a break fix issue that is raised to their attention, they can transfer that to the ICM team or to the support teams that are able to track that to resolution. So lots of ways to use the account table. I challenge you to be a little creative and think about where these CDM tables can save you some app building time. And I look forward to double clicking on this further in upcoming Friday videos. Thank you.